of the crisis in Ukraine?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I've been following pretty carefully online. Vice actually has been doing shows on the Ukrainian uprising against the government there, and it's been pretty shocking to see in social media, Twitter, following people close to the crisis.
Yes. My family is from Russia, obviously, as am I, and we have some family both in Ukraine and in Russia, so we've been following it closely.
Yes, I have. I sure have.
Yeah, it's a sad event.
Are you afraid of Putin's behavior?
Yes. I think Putin's a tyrant. I think he's a power freak and he doesn't want to allow other nations to do what's best for them. I think he wants to go back to the Soviet time and have complete power. I don't think he's a very reasonable person.
I'm concerned for sure. I think it's a problem. I think the international community has pretty clearly spoken against the going into Crimea, and it's concerning for sure. I think we need to be unified in our message to Russia that this is not acceptable. It's against international law. I think the whole world agrees on that, and I think I think inevitably the sanctions are going to put a lot of pressure on the Russian government and their economy, and I hope that will do it. I hope that will make them kind of back off and go back to reason.
I think there's a reason to be concerned in all of his policies that he's been enacting in the last few years, yes.
Well, the U.S. is the safest country. Well, they say it's the most powerful country, and I am a U.S. citizen, and I am in this country. I was born in this country. I live in this country. So, am I afraid for my safety? Not really. But at the same time, I feel like there should be some awareness of what's going on around us, such as the Ukrainian crisis, and because you never know, like war is always a potential if there's arms or if there's weapons in any country. There's always the potential for war. So
No, I'm not afraid of any of what's happening in politics, not to sound arrogant. I mean, if as bad as his actions are, he does his will, and it's his right as sovereign not to condone war. I mean, if anything that happens is, I guess it's a learning experience, for anybody.
Do you think that a war between USA and Russia is possible?
I don't think so, and I hope not. I don't want to say that it's not possible in the future, but I just think, I really hope not. I think there's nothing we really can't resolve without diplomacy, with diplomacy, and we have to strive for that. We've been involved in big war conflicts in the past, and this country is going to stand up for diplomacy, stand up for our allies, and we're going to do the right thing and work with Russia to any way we can. But yeah, I don't think war is likely at all.
No, I think the world would be destroyed. I think there's two mega egos that would I think that'd be extremely dangerous. I hope that never happens. I don't think it would. No, I think it's highly unlikely, and I think there's too many considerations, and if it didn't happen during the Cold War, it's unlikely to happen now.
I don't think it's possible. Of course it's possible, because it's not really the war that's in question, the potential war. It's the government, it's the presidents, it's the leaders that are in question. And so if they make a decision to go to war, then or if the potential is there for them to make that decision, then there's always that potential for war.
I hope not. I really hope not, because in this weak economy, a war is the last thing we really need.
If there is a war like that, who do you think would win?
I think if there's a war like that, we're all doomed. I think everybody has nuclear warheads. I think we would have a nuclear winter that no one can fathom. We're all humans. We need to overcome our differences and work through the proper channels. Our governments and everybody out there should be paying attention, listening, speaking up, both here and in Russia and in Ukraine. and standing up for diplomacy and democracy. And I think we'll have a safe world if we can do that. So let's avoid war. I don't know if anybody would win. I think we'd all be losers.
I think it'll be complete disaster. I think it'll destroy the world. I don't think there would be a winner. I think a war like that would be global suicide.
Well, that's something we'd have to take bets on, but I think there'd be no winners in the case of a war.
Probably the U.S. And I'm not saying that from a position of arrogance or anything, because I am, as I said, I'm a U.S. citizen. But it's just that throughout my whole life, I've always heard that, we have more weaponry, we have more just general warfare knowledge. So, but then again, you never know, because I know there was an arms race once between Russia and the U.S. So there's no telling who has the most weaponry at this point. And I don't think that information is necessarily given to us as people, citizens.
I really don't know, since it hasn't really happened, and I'm not really a political expert or a wartime historian, or was I involved in any, or nor am I a soldier or a top military expert. All I can say is, if it was to happen, then I would know just as anybody else who would win or lose.
What is your opinion on the reaction of Obama and his administration to the crisis in Ukraine?
I think the reaction, people give him a lot of criticism here on the right in this country, that he wasn't tough enough against Russia all along. I don't think people really expected this. You look back, you can see what he did with Georgia. Like, the last 3 U.S. presidents have had a very difficult time with Putin. And his grabs for power and just kind of flexing the old, Cold War muscle of the Soviet Union in a way, and trying to do that. I think Obama's response has been really what he can do: work with our allies, call it an outrage, work with, everyone in the international community, put as much sanctions against them as possible. This is what hurt Russia before their economy started to crumble over time, and they couldn't sustain this giant rush to war and arms and building up their resources. And I think, I think that in time it'll work. I don't see them doing anything against Ukraine. I think they'd have the entire world against them, and it doesn't make sense. I don't see what's in it for Russia. Why go into Crimea if it's gas? Is it resources? But aren't you alienating the rest of the world who you work with and partner? And assets are getting frozen around the world for Russian, major Russian corporations and billionaires. So isn't that affecting your people and your country? I think that coming to those realizations will prevent a problem. That's a long answer, but that's kind of what I hope.
I don't know enough about that. I know there's been a reaction, but I haven't stayed up to date enough.
I think Obama and his administration have their own reasons for reacting the way that they do. It's been pretty widely documented that they're trying to get liquid gas available in Europe, which is now largely purchased through Russia. So there are larger implications there than the ones that are being told in the regular news media.
I commend him for taking an interest and even, just getting involved in some capacity, but I also think he should be, sort of cautious as far as how much he gets involved, and just make sure that he doesn't, I guess, push people's buttons or cause people to get angry, or, like the Ukrainian leader that's causing all these problems right now. I just don't want him to cause any sort of conflict or anything, because again, you never know what could happen. The conflict is over there, and not that I want it to stay there, but at the same time, I don't want it to make its way over here, if that's a possible, unnecessarily. So.
I think they mean well, and they want to maintain peace and order in a stable, or try to maintain peace and order so that future generations can continue in peace, regardless of whatever trial or tribulation may come.